Okay, everyone ready? Call this meeting to order at 7:01 for the Johnstown Management Committee meeting at the Township of Lewisburg Cardinal. Meeting to March 20th, 7 p.m. at the South Lewisburg Community Center. Is there any changes to the agenda? I would like to amend one. I'd like to add 7B for discussion only. Parking and watching the solar eclipse at the west parking lot of the Uplands. So I need a mover for that. I do. No, I need a mover for that. We haven't got it forth yet. No. So to amend the agenda. To amend the agenda to add 7B. 7B. Yeah, parking and watching the solar eclipse in the parking lot of the west. Oh. Need a second. I was talking to Rob. Chris, yeah, seconded by Chris. All in favor? Yeah. Carried. Okay, so that'll be 7B. So now I need minutes to approve the agenda. As President, no?
You still have to call the approval of the agenda.
That's what I'm
just the approval of the amendment.
So I have approval of the agenda as amended.
Through the chair, you don't need to do another motion. It's open. Don't have anything on the table. You can just do approve the agenda as amended to second item. You don't need a second motion.
All in favor? Carries. Number 3, disclosure and current interest, the general nature thereof. Nope. Delegation presentations, we have none. Minutes of the previous Port of Johnstown Committee meeting, February 20th, 2024. Is there any changes in the minutes? Need a mover? For the minutes? Moved by Mr. Smell, seconded by Mr. Ward. All in favor? Carried. Business arising from the previous Port of Management Committee meeting, if any. Is there any? Okay, discussion item 7A, we'll call it Port Day update. Jen, are you speaking? And Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, go on.
So for the update, we had a meeting last Friday, and we discussed the meeting invite. It's almost done. We just need to confirm the few names to put on it, but it's almost ready to go. We are planning to send for end of May, around May, we're gonna send 3,000 copies of this meeting invite to around Johnstown. So and we'll also include a QR code in the meeting invite. So and the invite so people can register in advance to win the access to the Grain Elevator. So we try to plan that in advance. So the team does for me to plan that the day of the board, the open doors. The other thing, we'll have farm equipment and trucks. We'll have the section for the kids with Bouncy Castle. Next week I have a meeting with Sarah. So to see if they want to take and charge the kids section and see what activities we'll try to do. Let's say Olympics with the kids. So we'll see if that's something that they want to take over. And we already have some boots confirmed. Giant Tiger confirmed also that will bring the hashtag and the basement painting. And we also have the welcome team that will be open, and crews will take care of it. So maybe they will have some kids that can go and go on there. And we also have the photographs for the stands, table, chairs. And, yeah, we're just waiting to see, of the number of volunteers that we will need. Confirm the people that are interested as they want to volunteer. So I don't know if I'm missing something.
That's great. Well,
Sounds good.
yeah. Anything to add to that, Joe?
No, I'm good.
Right.
What, you can hear me?
All good.
Good.
It's fantastic.
Thank you so much for that. Well done. Thank you, guys. Okay, 7B, any other discussions, questions, people, before we move on? Just jump in.
Good job. It's awesome how much progress has been made.
So 7B, I just brought this up, we're not gonna advertise or anything like that, but we were, the mayor and myself and the CEO been on some meetings following up to the, solar eclipse. And we're afraid we're gonna get a traffic jam. It's supposed to be really, really busy that day. St. Lawrence Commission Parks in Morrisburg, they're looking at 6, 7, 8,000 people, so. I just want to know if the committee has a will to, or interested in, having, open up the uplands up in the west end there, where it's vacant now, to park and watch the eclipse. It's not near the water or anything like that, so I just thought I'd bring that up, and, if I could have any input for that, I should appreciate it, so.
West end of the Legion,
Pardon?
west end of the Legion,
What's in the Legion?
west end of the Legion, is that what you said?
No, up at the Uplands parking lot at Oral. Just for notice, and we may not get anything, but it's something that we have at least for parking, that's all I'm afraid. So. The township. So any thoughts on that, Mr. Ward?
No, I don't see a problem like it won't be very busy for us at that time anyways, because the traffic's not gonna be that busy, so it's not like we're gonna have trucks and cars all in the same area, right? So I don't, unless we think there's some sort of a insurance or legal issue, there's a problem with that. That's, I guess that's a question. Is there any some sort of?
Insurance company provide liability, but I can certainly ask them, but from what I'm gathering, there's not going to be anybody involved in it, just opening a gate, so they're parking on their own apparently, and so. What can happen, what can possibly happen in the parking lot?
No,
Now you've said that.
Nobody's supervising it. It's, you're asking me a liability question and I can't answer. I have to.
Mr.
We
Campbell,
have insurance.
want in?
That would be my concern as well. I just wouldn't want, I don't want to understand what a liability issue was in a situation like that, opening it up. Right now, it's restricted access, correct? Restricted access.
The gates are locked, yes.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, now the docks are restricted 24/7, whether the vessel's there or not, and Deputy Mayor called me and asked me about going down there, and I said, certainly we can't do that near the water, and it's restricted area, that's a no. But the uplands area, Deputy Mayor put in, was wide open, we're not expecting any cargoes there before the meeting like this, but see when it's open, you never know, but I just think that. And so, my only concern is, you know, not having anyone directly traffic. So, yes, but maybe it won't be in the traffic, maybe there won't be any of it open there, I don't know.
You want in?
Well, sure, at some point. Yeah.
Do you have anything? You can?
No.
Mr. Smell? Andy?
The chair, we advertise this.
No, I don't want to advertise
Oh.
anything. I just want to, we saw a picture when we were doing this emergency and there was traffic on the 401 back. It's like the Halloween thing for that they had down at parks. They had it up in the 401 and the numbers flew all the way off the exit. We don't, and that's what they expect is going to happen here because it's going right down on the riverside. So I just thought if we had a spot just to get people off safely.
You'd have to have someone there.
Yeah, and that's fine, I mean, I'll volunteer that, just for something like that, that doesn't bother me, with shipping people in. It's just to get them off the highway instead of causing an accident, that's all. We're not advertising it, nothing. So. I just thought of emergency area because we don't have, we're gonna use, parking lot, I think in Cardinal, I do believe, the old arena. That need to be down there too, so we just want to get prepared in case in our township. You want in?
Yeah, just quick. So I'm gonna look this way, and I know we've had a couple of meetings and didn't realize we were gonna be talking about this tonight at all, so. Notice, like this week, the numbers are staggering. I mean, we've already talked about that, but the numbers this week predicted between Kingston and Cornwall are 500,000. That's what they're talking about at this point. So, we know what that's gonna mean if it happens. I mean, we've talked about it in the meetings. The question that I was going to ask that wasn't planning to tonight was, are we, others around us are gonna mobilize their volunteer fire departments for, like, they're gonna start their MECs in the morning. MECP, I got the letters from the municipal emergency control group, so I think they're gonna start those around 8 in the morning, from what I've heard from other mayors, and they're gonna do it as a live exercise. They're gonna mobilize their fire departments. So is that a consideration that we might have? And if it is there a chance to use them to control parking in this situation?
I think first off, we're certainly looking at having the fire department in a few areas, just for ease of deploy, because we are expecting that there will be some traffic disruptions. But certainly at this stage, at least my thought process was that we're not going to look at trying to run an exercise or run that as sort of an exercise during an actual event that that there's so many unknowns and variables with respect to that. But certainly looking to have fire department in other departments deployed in those areas along between 401 and Kent Road too. The waterfront into those other areas, like with respect to that, try to control it as best we can. Certainly, I think in Kingston and probably to the east of us, where they are advertising, where they are doing items like that, I expect there'll be much higher traffic than necessarily here, where we're trying not to promote the event and trying to educate at least residents in the area to view it from their own property. They'll have a bird's eye view. So, at least at rate at this time, certainly was not planning to have the control group together and ready. It was just more or less to have the control group on alert in the event we call.
So I guess the second part of that question would be, would we have the ability to use the volume? Like if we did what's being asked, like open that parking lot, we don't want to create a worse problem. But, would we have the ability to use a couple people to help control that, or?
I think first off, we have to determine how many are available. Fire service, we're probably just going to have like a base group, so certainly don't want them doing something else and then there's a call coming in. Right, really what we want them is basically their vehicle running, ready to roll upon a dispatch. So depending, like if there's excessively high number of volunteers that are available that day, then maybe something to be looked at. But I'm not anticipating that we're going to have an abundance of members available at that particular time.
Is it, I mean, I know it's a firm surface, it's going to be spring, is it soft,
No, it's pretty good.
it's
Yeah,
good,
it's
like
fine.
it could accommodate parking problems?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe that, I'm not comfortable with our personnel being on County Road 2. However, we could have a couple of guys, it's 2:30 to 4:30 and it's 10. Just not gonna make this now, we haven't really had this discussion either, but.
Right.
I'm thinking that we could spare a couple of guys, we don't have a big force right now, our casuals aren't in, but we could, we want some sell, but we're comfortable with having a couple of volunteers there, we should be. But I'm not comfortable with being out on County Road 2 directing traffic or doing anything like that.
If they turn in, we can show
Yeah,
them.
we'll have a couple of people directed, right? I feel comfortable, we do that when we do the 4 days, so I'm comfortable with that part of it, but I don't really want to be around.
Yeah, I just think, and I'm concerned, I think we're all concerned about this, we said in the emergency, management control board meetings and, if that 500,000 number actually happens, it's gonna be a show, so.
We charge them per car.
Probably good. But it's better than the highway 2 or the 401 turning into a parking lot, and every little bit, to get them off the road does help, so if there is a possibility of doing it without putting ourselves at risk, I would say that. You see nodding, I'm not sure if that means that we're okay with it or not, but
Yeah.
I think if we
We
could,
could,
I'd be.
we can also engage Mr. Mayor, if the mayor would open the gates, we could have a couple of people available to 2:30, 4:30, and that's what the board can do.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's other volunteers that can help or whatever, if the situation gets there, probably a good idea to try to find the people.
Go ahead.
And so when I'm looking at the map, it's the, sorry, were you supposed to?
No,
Okay, would we block off that area that goes sort of where the cargo landing is, as well as over the train tracks, would we block that off with something like versus or something like that?
Yeah.
Literally, when we get the people there, which can happen.
Well, you know what, I'm driving over the drives, I gotta turn around and come back up, so the way the counselor, we'll make sure we have somebody there to take sure.
Okay, good. Mr. Mayor, you got one?
yeah, I mean, if you're asking them to move, like,
No, it's just a discussion item. I just wanna know if you guys were on board. We're not gonna advertise or nothing. I just didn't wanna see how much.
has open to make it available.
That's right.
I'm 100%, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
That's all I want out of it. So it's only a discussion item. That sounds around the table, we can use it. Go ahead.
But I think through the chair, certainly, we can coordinate with board staff and, certainly maybe something that we want to advise OPP that if it's, if it's a situation that maybe they can have somebody at that location directing in and we can stage those vehicles. Completely understand, we don't want anybody, they're trying to direct traffic on County Road 2 at the best of times, let alone, what might be, high traffic volume. We certainly know from February 3rd with the scheduled shutdown on 401 and other things that will get on with people busting down the gates and the whole work, so, we'll do our best to coordinate and be prepared in that.
So are you port and?
We'll touch.
Good. Great to see you. Good, thank you. Okay, we're on the 8. Any other thing, Joe? Do you have anything to say, Frank? Sorry.
No, see, my concerns have been covered. Well done. Thanks.
Yeah, Joe?
No, that's all good by me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to 8A, grain operation report. Mike, are you talking on that?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
The grain operations report for February. The overall grain inventory at month end was 77,727 metric tons. Wheat shipments slowed this month, mostly due to spring loading restrictions, and we're still seeing a small bit of activity with soybean and corn being received. I can see on the graph we pretty much matched the inventory that we had at this time last year. The traffic for the month, we received 7,455 tons of grain via truck. We shipped 6,916 tons of grain, shipped 6,916 metric tons of grain via truck. Shipped 274 metric tons on rail. And we have had no injuries or anything so far this year. Very good. Labor, we have 2,040 hours for the month compared to 2,558 February last year. We're still sitting at the John Day ratings for quality report inspection. We have one on Friday. And that's it for operations for February.
Any questions, comments on this? Mr. Mayor? Good, Andy? Frank?
Nothing for me.
Joe?
Nothing my way.
I just have one, that's our labor, being down 500, say for having 500 hours. Is there a reason for that, or,
When we laid off all the casuals,
and last year we didn't?
last year we did, we kept them on some projects and we never slowed last year. It just,
Okay,
we were so busy that, we had to keep up. This year, we know that it's gonna be slow right now, just with the market.
right,
And we're all on the way.
very good. Good. Thank you, maintenance report?
Okay, working with maintenance here, during the month included the following, monthly process inspection, like the requirements, we brought scale test weights, which is 20,000 kg weight from the marine scale area, and the rail scale area, waited 5 years for waste management for certification. But we bring them down, clean them up, cold paint, ship them out, and ship them out. Annual inspection units of the lockers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 have been completed. We've got some small installments in the roads. Just the track and the street conveyor. Repaired west door to elevated basement that was damaged by wind. We installed a new AED advanced office, didn't have one there previously. Annual maintenance of shift orders were completed. There's some items with the work order law and the weekly monthly justice inspections. In the electrical area, we work with millwrights as required. The Grain Commission conduct a scale inspection and self-calibration testing, items on the order. We replaced the flexible wire weight on ship order number 2. We placed scale position with one scale. This was the new position that we ended up with fail, but it's contact. Cleaned all scale communication equipment. And we're on temporary power to avoid construction for other preparation to move there. Also, some benefit to work.
Thank you, sir. Starting down there, go ahead.
I'd just like to ask with regards to comment on the AED, grid and other stuff. There's a new one in the office. Is there another AED anywhere else in the museum? Several. Several. Okay, several. Thank you. And 4 total. Thank you. And is all the permanent full-time staff trained on AEDs? We do train them all. Right now, we have half the workforce certified, and the other half is scheduled to be. To the St. John's program? Yeah. Okay. That's great. Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Mr. Stone?
Yeah, just have one interesting question for you. The weekly monthly dust inspections, does that break down quite a bit or longer?
That's
What's it gonna be every?
Run the length of the building upstairs and downstairs. There's over 600 horsepower. It's a monster. Which you can take routine maintenance, and that's part of our ECA as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe it's no big deal, but maybe it's just more curiosity for me, I guess. These 21,000 kilogram weights, is that so? We need to use those on a regular basis, or is that just?
3 times a year.
What's that, sorry?
3 times a year.
3 times a year, okay. So them being out for service is gonna impact anything we had.
We just had our last, scale calibration certification 3 weeks ago, so it gives us a window to get them out, test them back.
Okay, good, that's.
Mr. Mayor,
No,
Mr. Skip. Frank,
All good.
Joe,
Nothing here.
okay, thank you. Nothing here, financial report.
Our revenue for the month was 278,000, it's lower than 2023 by 146,000, mainly due to the corn receiving project for export in 23 and the steel rail project in 23. We kept our expenses under budget by 61,000 and we're under 2023 by 125,000. Our year-to-date revenues, our harvest services are down 178,000. Grain services are down 43,000, rail is down 65,000, leases are up 12,000. Our expenses are, there's up 25,000, utilities is down 33, operating in the min is down 64. Our advertising, part of that is our advertising is down 61, that's our final offer carrying payment paid in 23. Our office admin is down 5,000. Materials and supplies down 3, outside services down 2. A lot of that's just timing of projects and stuff. Insurance is up 5,000 and the honorarium is up 2,000. Our management fees to February, we transferred 166,666 towards the $1 million. Our receivables are all under 30 days at 490,472. Our payables are at 99,130. Our cash on hand is at 9,052,518.
Mr. Skip. Mayor?
No.
Mr. Ward?
I guess, good job. I see, you know, revenues, we fell short from budget by about 100K. But you made up 65,000 of that. It looks like by, you know, various things, might be timing of some things, but obviously the labor reduction helped and things like that. So, you know, I mean, it could have been a worse surplus or deficit in this case here. So, you know, I guess there's a good job statement in there or something.
Just a quick one, if the labor hours are down, I'm just curious why the expenses on labor are by 25K.
Because of the catch up from the
Was the time?
our labor for February was actually down 5,000 in total, but it's just the year to date numbers because of the 2-year loss on the.
Okay, thank you.
Frank?
Nothing for me.
Joe?
No questions. Love that cash on hand number.
Okay. Moving on, D, health and safety report.
So I think what we'll do is just take a minute to, I know everyone's had a package to take a quick look at that and answer any questions, concerns you might have with the health and safety.
Good, health and safety's been busy though. John's really been busy.
First of the year is always very busy. Going through to see if there's any legislative changes and things like that, and be updated.
And is there?
Always is something, we did a lot of work this on compliance days this year.
So maybe I can ask, I'm not sure, but so I feel like we've had confined space. Is it gonna adjust it? And it's almost like there's always changes. We have things, or not?
Oh, they're always changing something for sure. I mean, it's not big changes, but it's just little things that happen, right? I mean, we're not very meticulous of things.
But you know, obviously, because that's an important one for us. We then obviously we download that to the people who go to the confined space right away. I'm assuming it's okay. No, that's good.
Anyone else in the health and safety? Questions? Frank? Joe?
No, sir.
Okay.
No thanks.
PM report? E.
Sure. Toll management, we have our meeting coming up on Tuesday, the 26th. We have a meeting, 2 days ago with largest X group. There's gonna be 4 of them attending. There'll be 3, myself, John, who helps us with, some of that work, in our consultant, Blue Metric, will be attending as well. Blue Metric's the company that does all our monitoring, does all the reporting to the Ministry of the Environment. We're seeking clarification on their requests. We're still in a discussion phase at this point. We wish to continue that. And we'll see where that meeting goes. We're not sure where it's going to go at this point. But there will definitely need to be some action after this meeting. But that actually will depend on how the meeting goes. So with the April meeting, I'll be coming back with a report on that. And we'll give you an update on how that meeting went. And if I have any information prior to that, I can also send something out as an information. The report, the engineering report on the docks, we're going to try and bring that to the meeting in April, May. It is in the future capital, but there's nothing in there in 2024, so we have a little bit of time to take a look at that. The land development update, we did get our survey completed by IBW, it's the Jason survey, Prescott. And they completed that, and now we're doing the drainage plan. That's part of our money that was left from the 2023 that we're looking to prepare that. You will see that again in the budget capital budget presentations. We've provided 4 quotes for potential business to the stevedores. Actually, another one today, so I guess 5. A lot of it. Just to give you an idea, so you're aware of what some of these quotes are: steel beams, steel pipes, windmill blades. I mentioned that before. There's potentially 3 blades that come into port for replacement. When you replace windmill blades, you have to do them 3 at a time. Transformer, electrical transformer, and machinery parts for the mining industry that we're giving some quotes on. Excuse me. As well, we've been working on, of course, the capital budget that we're presenting tonight. CFIA was in to do the damage inspection. That's under the control of Logistec, the stevedore, and that's where we're going to be bringing in salties and imports that wood from foreign countries. There's new regulations concerning that. You need to be certified on it in order to handle that product that is considered. So everything went well from what I told, and they're just waiting for their certification papers for that. And we've already went through the 4-day meeting. I think we did, and things are progressing well. Stephanie's on top of things. We've got some, hopefully, some exciting news regarding the vessel. We're not there yet.
I just sent a message to the Johnstown area to let them know that they're offline again, guys.
Rebecca, do you know if this was only booked from 7 to 7:30?
No, it's the chair. So Steve requested February 28th or 29th that the meetings be held on the 20th at 7 o'clock, I think, to accommodate some individuals. It's definitely going to run after 7:30.
I just asked because we went off air about 7:35.
Yeah, no, it's,
My booking showed 7 to 7:30, so I wondered if that
that's
was.
just. No, that's just through the Outlook calendar. It always just does in half an hour increments, and we probably forgot to extend it to 10. But Zoom is unlimited for us, so it doesn't do just limit it based on that time frame. Our Zoom link goes until whenever we end the meeting.
Great, thank you.
So I've messaged everyone there to let them know. I'm sure now they're just trying to figure out the internet.
So you're telling me I finally got Zoom to work on my end and it died on the other end?
It appears so, or the internet went off. I'm not sure which. I'm just texting them to let them know if anyone has noticed yet.
Without you there, they're probably in full panic mode.
Sometimes. Sometimes it's nice to test things out every once in a while. They're trying to get it reconnected. It's that Dave just let me know.
You in Florida, Frank?
Yeah, still in Florida, Joe, and it's a little cool, but very sunny right now. So looking forward to another, what, about 6 weeks. We'll come home toward the end of April.
Cool, we're in Vancouver. Canadians play here tomorrow night.
Okay, you going to the game?
We are. Went to Edmonton a couple nights ago. Calgary a few nights before that.
Hey, that's a great trip.
We're gonna keep going until they win. It could be a 3 year trip.
At least you guys aren't back here. It's been snowing, freezing rain, and like hail sleet mix the last couple of days.
Yeah, that's too bad we missed that.
Because everything we had been hearing, Rebecca, was how you were having summer weather or very much spring weather up north.
For a very short while. It went back real quick. It spoiled us with like days of 15 to 18 for a couple, and now we're back to the crappy weather.
Yeah, it's interesting with the comments about the eclipse because down here, of course, you really don't get much of that because it's not a factor. But reading about Niagara Falls, I guess Niagara Falls expects to be overwhelmed with visitors.
It appears so. There's a whole bunch of different talk. It's debated whether or not it's gonna be a big deal up around here or not. I'm not really involved too much. I'll be in sunny south at that point anyways, so I've
Okay.
stepped away.
Are you coming to Florida or are you coming to?
My parents are actually down in Florida right now. But we are in St. Lucia for 10 days.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, we fly out that day, so I don't care what it'll be. I'll be too far gone to care. Too far past that area.
Welcome back, Rebecca.
Welcome back, guys.
Back on.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Joe, you there? Thank you.
We're all here.
We're all here.
Thank you. Sorry for the people who are watching. We lost our internet for a few minutes. We're back on track. We hope we can continue on with no other little glitches. Go ahead.
We good to go? Okay, so I just completed, the general manager's report.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about reporting at the end there, which is already covered. And so I'll entertain any questions, on the report.
Any questions? Comments? Go ahead.
Sure, okay. So the 5 quotes to the stevedore, now, are those like, is that significant numbers or is that something good line with your?
They're all small items, packaging items. I would say the average is probably around $3,000, and then you get some verbiage, so you're probably talking each one of those quotes 5,000 or something, depending on how it's. So the big one has a date yet. Hopefully, hopefully that can change fairly quickly.
Sounds good. That's all I have to say.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so to the salt management portion of that, and I get where the conversation's going, you know, whatever needs to be done, but and I think it was the last, you know, it was indicated that if we were required to pump that out, that the numbers could be large. Going through the budget, I didn't see anything in the budget
Not
for that line item, and you indicated in your report when we started it that we knew something is coming. Are we thinking that it's gonna be small, or are we thinking that it's gonna be?
No, in the 2025 to 2029, we see there's $1 million there.
Yeah.
I don't believe that we'll have to do anything this year, but I did put $1 million at the bookmark for 25. So that's just how the bookmark for it. I don't believe that we'll have to put that money into the 24 budget at this time. Now that we're engaging on anything that takes time to tender and so on. And we don't really know where we're going with the,
Yeah.
I mean, I think, sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I just continue that, I think there's some ideas floating around where we potentially could buy a couple of, talk to the maintenance manager about sludge pumps to potentially look at some evaporation ideas of pumping water out on the dock in August when it's really hot and it's evaporations, try to lower it down somewhat so we can look at different ways to clean the pond. But yes, we're not looking at spending any more than that for this year.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
anything else around the table? Mr. Stitt? Frank?
Just on the broader issue of salt management, and it's at a high level, but are we aware that the salt companies in Windsor and Goderich are in discussions with the Ministry of Environment as well? Because ultimately, they're the people who have the most to lose if in some way, shape, or form, they can't get their product delivered to docks along the seaway system to ultimately be put on the road. So I've got to think with the amount of employment they have in both Windsor and Goderich that they could be friends of ours in lobbying the Ministry of Environment. And I'm just wondering whether they actually are involved.
Thank you, good point, Frank. They're not as closely as involved as I think they should be at this point. They're aware. There's been conversations with them, but they're certainly not taking, you know, the ministry is dealing directly with us, not dealing with the owners, they're dealing with property, which is what they look at. But we certainly will need to get them more involved as we progress through this. And that's the best answer I can give at this point.
Great, thank you.
Anything else?
Down here.
No further questions? 2024 budget?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got an action item for you tonight. It's basically to recommend approval of the operations revenue and expense budget and the 2024 capital budgets as we're presenting. Just a little background on the action item. We operate as a separate division and we have our own operating capital budget. This is presented to the Port of Johnstown Management Committee for recommendation to council. We go through the process in the budget of downloading our financials in Excel. We format our spreadsheets, we create budget worksheets, and we go through that process and summaries. We compare our historic data. We look for trends, expectations for the upcoming year, we do a risk assessment of equipment and improvements. We hold meetings with management with input from staff on required equipment and improvements. And we also look at our cash flow for the 2024 5-year plan. So the operational budget was presented and received by the Port Management Committee at the February 20th meeting. However, we still require approval tonight as part of this action plan. And so I thought we could just go into the capital budget. And if there are any, we've had the revenue and expense summary, we've done the presentation at the last meeting. However, if there are questions, of course, we're going to answer them, but we're not going through that presentation again. It's to it not only approved, but it seemed that everybody was okay with it. That's on this last meeting. So we'll start with the capital budget commentary. So we need to get this budget approved by the Port of Johnstown Committee and Committee and Council. Any approved budget project over 75,000 must then be brought back to the committee for final approval. However, it does not have to go back to council. Any approved budget project that is below 75,000 does not require a second approval and is within the GM's delegation of authority to proceed with the project. This is why the projects are divided up into major, above 75, and minor below. Any non-budgeted items must be brought forward by the Port of Johnstown Management Committee to council for approval. So if there's something not in the budget that we don't have tonight, then we would have to come to this committee, and anything that was approved at this committee level would then have to go to council as well, because it wasn't approved in the original budget. Port staff separated the various projects. For both projects, we did a little bit of a different format this year. We separated in the maintenance and growth through discussions with the treasurer. We agreed that that's a good way to do it. I believe it's somewhat in line with what the township is doing, and just to make it maybe a little easier for us to follow. So we split it up that way. So we basically have a maintenance category that's sort of broken down into property, plant structures, and equipment, preventative maintenance, and equipment replacement, and growth. We separated that up into automation and expansion. So we've already went through how the process goes with creating this. We basically come up with this report now, and we have a brief commentary for each project. Kevin's going to take us through the major projects, capital projects. There is minor as well. We'll follow through that process. So it'll be major capital, the major capital that's a carryover to 2023, and then we'll go into minor. Whether you want to go through each item or you want to just ask questions on the minor capital budgets, and then we'll come back to the. We'll talk briefly about the future projects potential, and then we can go back to the action items seeking their approval. So I'll leave it with at this point, Kevin Saunders will start us off on the capital management. Thanks.
Thank you. First projects deal with the maintenance on property and managed structures and equipment. First one is shading project. Pour the fair amount of asphalt around the port, and it's over normal wear and tear that deteriorate. So looking at repairing some of those areas, the 5 areas in particular that we've identified. So this is the budget. So we have the areas with the approximate split area of each. Area number 1 is the tractor. It's normal wear and tears. The trucks come into the grain row. Also, where trucks come in and make a turn, there's one underneath the yellow and stuff to pick up. It's just over time, the radius of the truck is chewing that asphalt. It should be redone. I mean, they both are easy to fix. West side of the tractor area, again, we have a locust bed on the north side between next to Master Feeds. That lane is being chewed up as well. The trucks trying to be there, particularly at Harvard. Following trucks is redesigned two lanes, but we're using 3. Let's expand that roadway. So we're not having trucks sit here up that on top of what we can do. Master Feeds, drop there to the 14th down to the rail track. Master Feeds. We also have the rail track east of the shed. Just from trucks, we've got 80,000 pounds of truck driving over the rail line. It's flexing the rail ties, and you can see the impression of the ties that was paved probably 4 or 5 years ago. And now we have needs to be done that again. Proposal this time based on some experience our neighbors are having, and with the complicated with Jones Rail, we're trying to put in complicated with the rail. We've had good luck at Green after where they were replaced with the trucks are turning 90 and 180 degrees, and all sides of the rail over last year. That seems to be. It will spread the area out, disperse a little more, the tires to each side, and the larger area spread that away. For the lot, give us more longevity. We also have the rail crossing of the main dock entrance. We have inspectors attached on the following pages.
Where the asphalt is breaking up over the rails, and again, the intention there is to try concrete in very short areas, which will get a little longer life out of it. Every truck coming in and going out with salt goes across that crossing, not much in which to drain, but you know, real after the regular salt area, at least, so there's a lot of traffic. In this crossing. Then we have an area on the south of the annex bins, that will be directly across from the drainage car that's going. We have an area in there where the trucks make a turn, going into the annex and dump, and then again, it's chewing up the asphalt and it's we get into the mud and it's breaking off the asphalt. The purpose of that is to extend that area to start with a wider radius to turn and not screw up that broad radius. But it's there paving.
Excuse me,
Sure.
I like to go one by one and like each maintenance one, maintenance two, and so on, and get the feel of the table
Okay.
on that, and then we'll go to number two, if you don't mind. So is there any questions on this maintenance of paving? Does anybody have any concerns of passing the 300,000, or is everything okay on this?
Steve, I have one question,
Go ahead, Frank, good.
and it's simply, Kevin, do you anticipate 5 separate tenders, or do you anticipate one comprehensive tender for all 5 projects?
I would see 2 tenders for this amount. There's some that involves the rail. So we need to get Jones Rail involved as well, use the local contract and do the concrete. I see that being one tender, the other areas all being separate tender in the remaining area.
Okay, thank you.
No, I mean, I read the concrete and I was glad, I mean, if you get that, because I'm hoping that does it, because you can just see how it affects it around the railroad tracks and it. That's a good idea, that's all I was gonna say there, and otherwise, I don't really have an objection to this. We drove around there today and there's some areas that could use some work there, obviously, which happens every year.
And Mr. Mayor?
Just, are they, like, there are improvements, they're not, like, it functions fine the way that it is now, you're just saying that there are improvements to make it more efficient, more effective.
The paving or the
Well, I get the concrete and the rail part, like that part I have no issue with, I'm just wondering about the other, yeah, sort of the other 4.
The other 4 we're missing asphalt in some places with the trucks today. It's a maintenance issue and it's a regular issue. It's not every year, but it's every few years. And that's actually a product of success and more. The more trucks you have, the more tire traffic you will, the more.
A lot of those places last year, they're trying to pack over out so that we can keep the trucks coming in, was a few of them are cutting tires, trying to get up over top of the rail.
And just, I guess I'm thinking back to last year's budget, we paved a fair amount in last year's budget, and if I remember right, we paved a lot in the year before that, it just seems like it's a large number every year. This seems to make a lot of sense, I understand why the other ones were with the settling and stuff, but it just seems like it's a lot of dollars going to be. If they're needed, if it's needed.
Okay, anything else? Joe, do you have anything?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, no questions there. That's my biggest issue. We're always paving. We have lots in our township that we love to pave, but we can't because there's no money. You know, we love to do East Street, we love to do Middle Street, Cardinal. And I just see if you know, the cement I can understand and we went to the rail across. And I'm only one vote. Do we need to do the 300,000? That's all. Like in 2024. That's, I guess, is what I'm saying.
These areas probably see more traffic. I understand the concern of people saying heavy truck going across that. Area 5 is actually
west side of that. They've actually pushed the asphalt down, it's actually blocked it down. We've done it on that area, it's blocking it back to drain. What it is on.
Now, when we're doing all this, is there any way, if we pass this? Is there any way you can get, Master Feeds on board? To finish that part off in front of theirs this year?
To do their parking lot.
Yeah. I mean,
If you want to force the issue as the lease agreement spells out, we can go ahead and do it, and then we can charge. If we really want to push them to do it, that's the only way we can make, we can't make them do it. But we can, like, part of the lease is that you keep your lands, you keep your property up to spec. And if you don't, it's not used a lot, I've never used it, but there is a clause in there, you can go ahead and do it, and then charge it back and go through their lease or something, right?
it's just that we're doing all this paving and then I go down there and their parking lot is a mess. I mean, it's literally a mess. And we went through it last year. We said, well, we're paving our section.
Yeah.
Do you want it? And they said, no, it's not in our budget. I just, you know, I don't know if I would want to go that extent, you know, push the button, but
I mean, we can,
can you touch base with them and say,
we're having a conversation with them in April, early April, because their lease is coming up for renewal next year. And so I can have a conversation with the general manager about that, but we're not happy with the way of keeping our property, and we need to do something about that, so we can approach it that, you know, that would be the first maybe way to go, and then. They don't do anything, and I mean, they're the ones that gotta go over everything, but you're more from an aesthetic point of view, I guess, this doesn't look nice. I mean, our trucks aren't going on, right? So.
no,
Appreciate that, and we can definitely have that conversation.
but they're heavy trucks out and they're, and every time they park it, it's making it worse. So.
So I mean, you know, the only reason that, I mean, you know, I think it looks like we're saying there's paving every year that happens at the port. I mean, I think we saw last year seeing again this potentially. And I think the 5-year plan had 1.25 million over the 5 years. So I guess the assumption is there's about 250,000 bucks a year to support roads. And I just don't want to get behind on that after then have a catch up year at some point. We're have to do $500,000 or $750,000 in roads all of a sudden or paving because of that. Right? That's why. You know, so far our experience is that it's about that much every year, so that's all I had to say about that. You know, part of the conversation, but we don't like doing it, I hear that. But I just think that it looks like there's a regular expense that we haven't.
Okay, number 2. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, I took a drive down through there today, and it is bad.
Mhm.
But they want.
Oh, yeah, no question. Number 2, Green Elevator Concrete Repair Project.
So we're gonna be, we continue our concrete repairs along the elevator, the lower dock wall, we came out a bit last year, and be more after pictures in the annual report. This is, the 2 pictures that show the type of small that we're dealing with. And we want to continue that project, one, for the longevity of the building, also safety concerns of that, the building on the dock. Questions or concerns there?
That's a no-brainer. Get it fixed.
Yeah, you know, exactly. The only thing that I don't want to jump ahead too far down there, but I did see we also were looking at the more of our painting, if you will. So would we be painting these sections that we repair right away, or is there a weight trade we would normally do, or what would we do about that?
The area we're actually covering, it's actually the bin walls themselves, this is down below the bin wall. The bin wall repairs are, when we've been messing around, now we're assuming about that.
So we wouldn't paint that ever, you're saying?
We sort of, you know, not with the same product, it's really expensive. Okay, that's to protect the bins from leaking, but we can certainly look at aesthetically, we want to know if it match or anything like that, we can certainly paint it.
Oh, I just thought we could help, sorry, that was not aesthetics, it was more about, because this is your benefit to us there to have that, as far as keeping the integrity of the concrete or something, that's why I was. So, but anyways, okay. That's good.
Any questions on this? Number 2? Frank, Joe?
I'm good.
Good, thank you.
just seems like, we gotta keep that up for sure, so. Okay, number 3,
Number 3, you have some, spelling on the, front of the building, that is developed a, sag on the one spout. This spelling was put in place in, the original was done in 1957, and they went into the seaway, that's when they had the truck going lane on the north side towards Master Beach. And I know why they did it, mathematically doesn't make sense from the angle, but they took the pipe, the slowest on the wall, and they sent it the furthest reach out. So what we have there is a drop of about 35 degrees in that pipe, and you should have about 30 foot minimum, so the engineering standards say to get proper drain flow. The bottom pipe is developed with sag with a metal frame, you can see in the lower part of the little picture. That pipe is actually developed with sag that is slowing down the drain flow. And it's causing the drain to trickle out after the truck, so we kind of hang around for 2 minutes. And it's just coming up the chute. So the plan is to swap 2 of the lanes, take the lower one, where the yellow circle is, cut it at that length, so like these are bolted plans, not actually cutting them, and bolt that. Get that directed to the outside and give us the angle we need to flow, be a little more efficient on the trucks. We take the lower one and move it into the other lane that's currently occupying, and that'll give us plenty of angle for that. We just swap around a couple of pipes. We probably should have done in 58, but they did 50 faster with a few of them. Not just an efficiency of moving the bottom trucks, keep it up.
any questions on this project? Mayor? Go ahead.
Just quickly, while you're doing the work, is there an opportunity to upsize or increase the size of the pipe, with the size, increase the volume and flow?
Size is fine. Okay, it's plenty large enough. It's just losing a little angle. It's just got a little bit in the sag. It just slows up a lot, you know. It's a speed bump in the middle of like.
I can see a couple of drops in it, not where the yellow circle is actually above it to the river, but, yeah, okay, good enough. And then more like, it's visible. I just didn't know how big they were if they, increasing the volume.
Now they're 8 or 9 inches square. They're 8 or 9 inches wide by the width of tall. Yeah, which is yeah. I'm going home They are hard steel, and some of them have polyethylene lining, polyurethane lining. Okay, we would do that with a new one, we line with polyurethane, stands like this. It's thank you.
Go ahead.
So, I'm not sure, so this would take a little bit of time. How long is it gonna take, or how is it gonna be easy to get done without interrupting our operations? I guess was the big question there.
Yeah, the idea would be that we'll be targeting area before the harvest starts, so we got less traffic. The commodity price being down, the likely no rain coming in, bring that work. It's all right now. So this would be a good year to get that done.
Okay.
So realistically, the box site, cut, unbolt, install, I get it, 2 days. Yeah, it's like for the thing.
What they'll do is I'm gonna get back to the bowl and we'll, it should be one of our conversation.
Mr. Smith, you had your hand up?
You have the men that'll do that, you don't have to contract this in.
No contract.
You will. Don't have no talent over there.
With talent, there's a lot of work. It's a problem. We need a very large maintenance workforce to do all the tasks. We have to promise and stuff that is, working with heights. Well.
Understand. Good. Mr. McCauley, anything?
No,
Joe?
Yeah, one question through the chair, just out of curiosity. Do we know how old that equipment is?
Okay. 1958. And overall, there were some of the younger spec above that, but some of it was replaced in, it's like the early 80s.
65 years old. 66. No. Doesn't know us. 65 years old, doesn't know us. Does anybody have any Any other questions on that? No? Okay. Number 4, exterior covering for the elevator.
This is a continuation of the project started last year, we could do it quite well in the area, so this year we're proposing to do, probably double the area that we did last year, the whole level. So continue this work on, probably, 4 or 5 years to get it done all around the elevator. Then we'll fill up, we're hoping to take on 2024. Use the same color, same coating.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Through the chair to, Mr. Saunders. Is there, like you say, it's gonna take 5 years to go around the whole elevator? By the time you get around to this section that's done now, would it be fading? Like, will it stay the way it looks today?
So the, report we have now, it's very color class, like we looked at, guess the company had samples of buildings in about 25 years. We get a little bit of the stories from the environment. The advantage of being on the side of the elevator on the east side, not exposed to a lot of UV. We'll swing around the other side. So this should, but the same as what goes on the other side.
Thank you.
Just a purely aesthetic question. My vanity, I mean. Do they color, like I get that it has a lot number and that it's the same color when they produce it, but do they come back, can they adjust that color at all to match for fading, or potentially are we looking at 2 different or 3 different before?
So the question, I mean, I didn't miss that question, but I mean. I don't know why they can, if you get the opposite of color. Rainbow.
Just curious if they look at the color that it's faded to and then match that color, or they just give us the same color they gave us to start fading.
I mean, if it does anything, it will get redeemed, but it will fade. That's no, that's not good.
Okay, so it'll look basically the same.
30 years, it should still be.
It's doing, sorry, Randy, it's doing what we wanted it to do too.
It is really, I mean, very happy with that we decided to do that. Honestly, we've been checking it over the winter and it's become empty and we haven't had any spoilage. There's one bin that's leaking that has a blown leak in it. And he said there's a couple spots that we should have fixed. So don't paint it. I want to see how, what it will do. So we just have to back in and repaint that one spot, but it's the only spot I've seen that all it is that we, so a very cheap solution to a big problem.
Do you have your hand up, Dan?
Just through the chair, is it the same number of bins, like 10 or so?
This would be double.
Double, okay.
Yeah, we did 115,000 last year, so this would be, okay, this is double. We did, 12, so which one was that? 90% of the bins on that side of the building are leaking. So that's crazy. Let's see what that costs.
Yeah, that's us making a lot of us making stuff. But it's not bad.
Frank, anything? Joe?
Just in terms of, we're doing this over 4 or 5 years. Are there priority bins, some leaking more than others, or will we just continue along a line as we do the coating?
Yeah, I think the idea, Frank, would just be to continue in line.
Okay.
Just one last one. Sure. Like, how much does that get finished? Like, I know that they said 5 sections total. How close does that put us to having that whole side thing?
Oh, if we did another,
So still
we did another 250,000.
quarter of this side or quarter of the whole
Quarter of
thing?
the side.
Quarter of this side. Okay, just so that I've got that locked in. Yeah. Good.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
So. I mean, just more, in priority to everything else. What's the gating factor? Is the gating factor we decided to put 250 in and see what that gets us? Or is it, in other words, would we get a better price and be able to do it quicker? If we said, what can they do capacity wise in a year? And what's that price look like instead of, saying, let's do 20 instead of 10? Because I don't know what the conversation was like, but I'm trying to figure out if there's a better savings. There.
Oh, the conversation will be had for sure. It's something to see. Where there's a break point where we can get more or less.
Yeah. So table it. Okay, that's fine.
Just add to that, we
try to keep our major solar confidence is something that we can explore, and so it's a tough one, like, we'd like to do it all. That whole side and get it done, but there's only so much money, right? And so we're trying to do it by priority,
And I get that, I mean, I just, and I mean, I know there's lots of things to do, but it's not, there's 9 million and something that's out there plus revenue this year, right? So
We also need lots of time in that project, getting the harvest, that's good line, going, so.
well, and I'd like to repair, if there's critical things that need repair as well, do the first painting, right? I mean, I think there's a bit of a, it's a project, I get that, it's just more of a, is there a magic number that gets us a much better cost, if you will, for the beam, if you will?
Yeah, I did try it out this year, but it didn't seem to repair it quite.
Anything else? Okay, number 5. Container loading study.
This, what we do is, in conjunction with the CBRA program, you got a customer approach us, giving us a letter of intent. They want to work out on metric tons of soybeans a month, every month of the year. That's what we want to start at 50. So kind of a specialized pilot, which was actually designed by a fellow named Mike Bacon, on the grain elevator in Western Ontario. He actually put a patent on it. Got it working. I've seen videos of different elevators where it works. Then he decided that he knew manufacturing was really his forte and grain system. We actually sold the patent off to Orson. They're the manufacturer for us now. But what that allows you to do, containers usually come in trains. When you put containers, it allows you to load a set of trains, but 20 minutes. Before the vehicle was doing was he had a conveyor set up, we had a couple of trailers, load one, work on the other one, load that one, and a couple of trains together, then go down the road. This allows the trains to stay coupled, and this down between transactions and load. That's a new business for the board. Right now, he's got 11 intent to go over 50 a month. That can grow. And since we've kind of spread that around, and a couple of presentations we've done to grant people, and seems to be some interest outside of the front
Questions, comments? Go ahead.
That's an intriguing project. It's very innovative. It's a great concept. Curious, I've never asked the question before. Do you guys segregate IP from GMO?
In the main elevator, we do have some non-GMO one. We do it in the annex. We only do it there because we can isolate the bins.
Okay.
So when we have a regular come back and non-GMO.
Yeah.
We do about a day's worth of cleanings early now.
Makes sense, and I'm sure everyone appreciates the place for that.
We get audit every year, and so far they've been very, very happy with the process.
Okay. So this business would be potentially IP.
This would be property.
They're all crushed.
They're all crushed. She had that discussion saying, we sell crush.
Good. It's good. I'm glad you had the conversation and glad I asked the question because a lot of the container stuff is IP. Yeah, and it would come out of certain areas, so. All right,
Yeah, this is all pressure, and then off to be clean. For the additional revenue should be with $15,000 a month per pair. Or initiative.
150. Right, that's good. That's good. Nice talk.
Revenue is 15K, what's the profit?
Depends. That's gonna count.
What is the profit on receiving grant? We're not adding any value to it. We're just receiving and then we're, it's in line with the current tariff. But it's a real profit. You're manufacturing, it's getting performance. And I can live together. You're the value of the problem. Not all the trades, but the time of the price. operation. So this is the thought.
So we're gonna spend 300K. And how's that gonna, so bottom line, what's that gonna do for us then?
Generates another opportunity or another $2,000. Every month.
Just not fit.
So,
20-month bid that comes to us.
so this is my individual business. Right, and I have the potential to add, I get that I'm adding revenue. It's costing me 300K to earn the additional revenue. What's the ongoing expense to earn the revenue? Will that? Like, if it has to be cleaned, there's a cost to that, there's,
There's a lot, that's part of the 15 days, the thing just go into that. So that's, we have a thing there in our current tariff. Those $4 would be 77 to 75 cents a ton, about 50. We have our in-town tariff, the communication or moderation, so we had your down tariff. Current now, the town saw some conversation with the town manager on what those costs would be, because we do have a couple of incidental and some cardboard. You see at the end of the containers are laid out, this cardboard cost, but we do like to support that. Cover the cost, a lot of two-thirds of that container side there. The center on the header, you can mirror automatically pull back and fill, and then the next. Well, what's the problem?
so. And the person that's interested, I don't want the total details of their contract, but they're interested. Are they 1 year, are they 5 years, are they, what's the?
They're from. There is no limit, they like to do it every year. Usually they're having now, because they're a small commodity. They like to do business in Montreal, but if they, most of the other areas don't have open. They really don't want to take on another business. The tariffs are extremely high. Well, important, this is the only place where you can get in, or start over again. He wants to grow that business, 50. He has another local guy living some containers from that, there's some Western Ontario. The other market, 50 in Houston, Ontario. Okay. He wants to grow that to the point where he's actually made a required fleet off salmon containers that I need to get.
Right, that's sort of where my next dream is going was, is he then taking the containers that he loads here to Montreal because he can load them onto a ship there, or is the plan to load them onto a ship here, or is it just? What's the?
You're load them on the ship here, well, it's the way over. But that's down a little bit.
Fleet off is a container service that's already happening right now. So we rate by every all the time, but trying to find something in the.
Yeah, they never have, they're good.
So it would be going directly to Europe. You would see them. Not something. I'm not saying we saw, or maybe you think something that's up, potentially. Fleet off, right? That's what they do, is go up and down. And go to legal, and they do that. In fact, I think it's twice a week.
Go ahead. So, and I just grabbed 42%, and I grabbed that based on, if you look at the 2020 revenue versus surplus, okay, it's about 42%. And if you just take that number, and I'm just taking that because I think that's the best number we have today to say, maybe it's an average for business, if you want to have average expenses associated with it. So that 180 would become the, roughly, based on that anyways, but $76,000 in surplus in revenue from, or in profit, if you will, this is the best way to say that, which puts it at about a 4-year ROI. So I didn't have that number before we had this meeting, and I'm glad we had it now, which is good to have that conversation. So based on a 4-year ROI, I think that I feel that that's not that uncomfortable for me to say that sounds good to me anyways. So anyways, that's what I want to say on that.
So 180,000 a year. He loads it, then it goes from there to the ships from our port, or it goes out by transport.
Those are by transport right now, it's just question to see where it's flowed. So he works out organizing the trucks, he does the logistics sometimes, the trucks at feet. All we can do is blow.
So we load, they're gone, so they're not using our port. At this time when the seaway's open. Is that- And is that their plans?
That's the plan. Plan like we like to get up to, 75 to 100 a month, and that's when it's like.
This is all point. We need to start with this, and then we need to just go it again, and we need to else. So,
And now, if we build this, we could take other companies in there to load like that?
Yeah, well, it only equipment. That's what really was better.
Right, so it's just not him. It's just not, you,
No, it's not just him, he's the guy that. was-
he's the guy that got it rolling, but if I want to come down, I could do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Although this is not IP.
Okay.
We've got, we've got companies filed with the loading containers for quite a few years now, but no one's really considered a commitment. This guy just showed out in that, so it's fun.
Go ahead.
So the letter of intent's good, let's call it a good start. Would there be a contractual sort of volume we'd expect, would we contractually lock ourselves in, or is it fluid and he can turn around, so if somebody come back to us someday and say, you know what, it doesn't work, you're just gonna stop the whole thing. I don't wanna spend $300,000 to find out that, you know what, change our mind and we're not gonna do it anymore, right?
No, that's why I mentioned it, it's further discussion happened a lot, it's just down up now. He's talked with us a few times, he's talked with, by phone, now we have to come out face to face with people that. Really, that's to determine is there a will, maybe, so to look into the business, if there is, then we can. His schedule from down the spring, meet with us, go over.
Go ahead, Mr.
Quick question. It's we're loading 20-foot containers at the moment. The question would be, is it also potentially toward 40-foot containers?
It is, but it's only got about 5 more tons than a 40-foot into the 20. So it's all just
On the road, but not on. Right. Okay, so yes, but are there other commodities that are also loaded into 20-foot containers that could potentially be loaded for through a spout like this? So we could grow other commodity business as well, like corn and wheat potentially, which just when we're thinking inside the box.
Yeah, and one of the people that are expressing interest, would like to look one. But, yeah, we've got actually, we
Understand,
but there seems to be an interest.
but I've seen other people load 20-foot containers, it's not pretty. It's very cumbersome, it's very awkward. To have the ability to load that volume cleanly would be a really nice option, especially given water access. Or the reality. Okay, thank you.
What would he be taking? What kind of grains? Beans?
Sort
Just beans? Him? Okay. That's just it.
Thank you. Kevin, would it be labor? Do you see any additional labor to do it, or is it just labor that's already sunk?
Many of the growers already use little trucks will be in the same area, so that's why I know that. Mayor wasn't the best when I found when I said, the profit was, but we already have all the manning, electricity related. Negligible, we got. Make a lot in order to have a savings program, there's not a lot of extra cost, except for a couple of 2x4s.
So the dollars look good, or at least pay back the equipment. Yeah, so like you're looking at an ROI in 2 years. Yeah, that's good. That's more what I was asking, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't that I wasn't unimpressed, it was that, we're out spending 300K is a lot of money. Just, it's hard to do that on, well, maybe somebody will, like, it's kind of like a new business case, but we're not meeting with them till April. And if he backs out when we've passed in the budget to spend 300K on something that we have no business for, so. That's more the part that I'm saying, and an ROI of 2 years is fantastic.
Yeah.
And with a lot of potential for a heck of a lot more, but it sounds good.
Should be, but yeah, I think we're certainly
Not
not
next
gonna-
week. I would say yes.
Frank, do you have anything?
I'm fine conceptually at this stage. I think a lot of the questions in terms of ROI and payback period and the like, there'll need to be a much better business plan when they come forward with this. And so I think a lot of the detailed questions we can address then. So conceptually, I'm fine now, but would reserve judgment until that business plan comes subsequently.
Joe?
Yeah, I like what Frank said there, it's a bit of an investment, but you gotta invest in growth, right? That's the way it works, and if we wanna be the best, we gotta have the good toys.
So
I like this.
they're coming up in April for a meeting?
I set a timeline, I said, yeah, in spring.
Okay, spring. So how do, if we counts this $300,000 unloading area and he doesn't go, we don't put it up.
Well, it's still, let's think about so there's 75,000, so this is.
Right, so still got to come back
This
to
is
us.
the same us, let's get moving on this, let's put everything together, let's have these meetings with, you guys say no to this tonight, then we don't even have to deal with them, it's a done deal, we don't waste their time.
Right,
So we gotta keep in mind, everything over 75 needs to come back here.
Okay.
It doesn't need to go back to council, right, once council approves this after this meeting, right? But council is all here, so I think it's, it still comes back to you all. Right, and then you'll know what type of commitment we get at that time, you'll have to make a decision, is that enough? Do we wanna keep investing in growth so that potentially it's there, right? So that the business comes along, we can do it. That's what the decision will have to be made at that time.
For us, it's important too, to take some seasonality. It's more of a steady programs, we don't have to lay talented people, we start a lot of training and money when we set it up as we have. It's nice to have programs like this where we look to take the other month and.
anything else?
I mean, I think, I think we all want to, at least the conversations that I've heard people say, we all want to weigh into the container business and somehow, some way to sort of see that business side of this grow. This looks fantastic. The potential.
Okay. Number 6. Port of Johnstown Warehouse, land development.
Great to see you on the, phase 1 of the, project. The review was completed in 2023, clearing the land. Again, that's what repeated the map last week, showing the areas of what's cleared. And phase 2 is develop the area for future bulk cargo lay down area. But get ready for potential business. Coming to the port, so we're looking at developing 5 acres. So we're basically removing the organics, I guess the larger pieces of the material level from the grubbing and laying down stone base. We also have another project separately with others will be developing a drainage plan. And then determine the area and what they're able to basically continuing on the grubbing and getting a section ready.
Anybody want to speak on this?
Yeah. I mean, and I think you're gonna see this common theme for a few of the next bit coming up, but so. And I guess to start off with, how long do we think it's gonna take to, we're just putting gravel down in a 5-acre area, right? I mean, I shouldn't say just, putting gravel down in a 5-acre area, so what's the timeline that's gonna take?
Probably 4 to 8 weeks.
4 to 8 weeks, okay, so, so given that, do we know, like, are we expecting to be needing to use the land in 2025? And if so, what would be the revenue from it? So,
Not at this point. I mean, the whole idea is we do the clearing, we want to at least have 5 acres available that if we needed to build a building, if we had a business come along, we'd be ready for it. I mean, that's when it comes over putting a business in some of your port, they don't want to see a whole bunch of trees and everything, they want to see at least the start. We're not gonna go any further with that, like, we're not having buildings on it or anything like that, we're just getting it ready. For potential business in the future. Now that means that there is not a return on investment, there's not you're building for the future in this one, right? So I'm not gonna be able to tell you there's gonna be a 5-year payback or anything like that. I can only use examples of doing this in the past where we invested in West Uplands and it took us $600,000 to put stone in, and then we got a windmill project that came in and we made over $2 million on it. So I mean, it's a tricky one. It's you want to have lands available. You don't want to go too far and spend like $5 million to get it all done, if you buildings up and you don't really have a business plan for it. So I can understand there might be a little bit of angst with this somewhat, but it's kind of a plan that was very important. We started it last year. We want to make sure that that's why we purchased the building 3 years ago, is to get the land. We've got a tenant for the building, they're paying basically the mortgage that we own on it, so we're net even on that, so basically we're investing in just trying to get the land ready. We could potentially, if there's not interest in that, we could scale it back and we could get rid of the organics and leave it at that, but I would prefer to at least get some stone down, so at least have an area so the clients come, you can look and show it to them. The fact that we have all the uplands available right now makes it a little more difficult to sell this to the committee, and I totally appreciate that. I get it, it's just a matter of they have wants to do it, and we want to wait till it actually comes up, and then you're a year away from anybody being able to use the land. It's going to take you time to do it. You can't just.
Yeah, and
You're right, so.
right, and I mean, I agree to that, and I think we're getting an engineering study on this, or sorry, a drainage study plan. That's already in work or happening this year, so I kind of agree with that, but my first instinct, to your point, because we don't know what it looks like down the road, and because it's not I hate to say it, but it's not a long lead to complete the project. I mean, it's not. I don't think we're gonna have to have somebody order special gravel, and it's just gonna be gravel that companies have everywhere, right? So based on that, I'd be more in favor, honestly, and I mean, I can be still sold and see what everybody else says, but I keep leaning towards just, every year, just, pay somebody to go over it 2-3 times a year, whatever, and just push on it and, keep it low because otherwise we'll get it and again. And, we don't want to be
A
careful.
lot of this is going to be windrowing it, we're gonna really do it again. It's not in a position right now with the rocks and everything, and you can actually just push on it. It's, well, take a walk at, go over there, just take a walk through. You'll see the condition of it. It's not even that ready state.
Okay, so this is probably an unfair question, and it's probably my last question, so I'll let somebody else have it. So if we were just to do that, instead of also putting gravel down on 5.35 acres or so, what's that price differential? Do we roughly know that, or is that?
I didn't get a price, but so I think it's way over the amount that it actually costs, so I'm thinking a couple hundred bucks.
Okay. So I'll have some questions for that. Mr. Stipp?
How long did you say it was for what would this be? 6 to 8 weeks to do that?
Well, you have to tender it, you go through that process, and everything. The actual work itself, yeah, I'm probably closer to 8 weeks.
So the customer called tomorrow. We could show them the
Go through
land.
the tender process, bring it to committee and all the rest of it, you're probably looking 6 months. Probably go through the whole process.
6 to 8 weeks to do the work, 6 months.
Well, you've got to do the tender, you've got to then tender that in, you've got to get time for the tender to go out to everyone, and you got to bring that back. Make an award, bring it to the committee, wherever that happens to follow the timetable for the meetings. And then you have to have them move for the award, and then usually we start, and then like they've already got the contract scheduled, their construction schedule a lot of the time. And so then you'll have to see when they can plug this in at that point. So it's not a thing that we just, we're a lot better shape than we were. You got the deburring done, and that's a great thing, right? So we're in better shape than we were, but we're not quite there yet, right?
Right?
Sorry, nothing for me.
Joe?
I got nothing, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Swear.
I hear you, if they build it, they will come, I get it, but I do struggle as the other one is, like you said already, it's, it's ready to be used, it's empty and usable now, there isn't anything scheduled to go on it, I struggle to think that we're gonna get, another area ready and spend this amount on it, this year, so I don't think I can support, I don't think I'll be supporting this one.
Yep, go ahead.
All due respect, it is a bill that may will come. I see a big number here as potentially a compromise to get a chunk of the real estate done. I would think it may be prudent to get a small section completed, the front along the road maybe. So there was a landing pad or there was something there that was presentable and you could say, this is what it could look like to a potential suitor or customer. And just get a little bit of done and underway and have a parking lot for people. But no, certainly not the whole thing.
But back at you,
Yeah.
isn't that what we already have with West Uplands?
Is it the west section?
I mean, isn't that what we already have? We already have that sitting there as a showroom right now for them to say, this is what we're gonna build on the other side of the road. We have 36 acres to put there if you want.
I completely understand what you're saying. It's just on the other side of the road, it's on that side of the road.
Well, the same thing.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
But if you turn around and go, it's right here, we have this. It's just, that's to me, it might be a good idea to get a couple acres done and just have a parking lot, something to start with. As opposed to doing the whole thing. I really rely on do the whole thing, so I don't need to keep that as a perspective. Thank you.
I agree. Anything to change?
I just,
Mrs. Farrell?
I just think that, I don't know, it seems to put a lot of money into something that. If the company's interested, in it, they can what's the land anyway. So then I don't know how long it's gonna take to put 5 acres and gravel down, it might take 4 weeks or something, I don't know. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to go right away, like when somebody wants to buy property, they go look at it first, so. What's the stone gonna impress them by, but what's just, I don't understand. Like, I'm gonna look at that land and they're like, okay, we can do this with it. But you already put gravel here, so is that supposed to make it sell better or?
Well, it's two parts. It probably does have its solvent. It's a little more attractive. It's also available for car like that, right? So they'll kind of have two stage here. If someone wanted to erect a building, there'd be an area to do that. Advertise for that, proximity to the port. And also as a backup for late after. I totally appreciate where you're all coming from. I'm trying to stick with the plan that was put in. I understand if you want to delay it, I have no issues with that whatsoever. If you want to wait till the whole dock is full like it was 3 years ago, we did not have any bit of land available. And you want to wait till that happens again, and then do this. And I'm not being, I'm not trying to be about that. I'm just giving facts, right? You can wait. There's no issue. Certain plans, you can land, you can just do chunks. I was trying to just split up into chunks and do it over the long term, right? But we certainly don't have. I mean, we could hold off for a year and see what happens, how much project cargo we got come in and so on, and no problems there.
How long has the land been cleared down?
We just got that done last year.
Yeah, some
Right, so the next stage, like it's just the windrow it, right, we can maybe do some chipping and get rid of some of the rocks, and maybe clear an area. So we need drainage plans, we know if we were gonna do a building, if we're gonna do something, where is the right place to do it and so on. If something happened where we did have to get the salt off the port dock or do something like that, we've got to start to do something maybe over there. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons, but as far as the return to get that back, it's not there at this point. I'll be very honest, you can see it yourself, it's either you stick with it and you're gonna do it, or you're saying, hey, we're gonna take a step back and we're gonna delay this for a little while, and that's fine, certainly understand that.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think, as I don't want to call it, as a compromise, for sure. As a compromise to that, because I'd rather have us challenge for 6 months and make it into maybe 10 weeks or something like that. If we ever had to get to that point, So that being said, I'm assuming that the 8 weeks or the 10 weeks is not including getting it ready for bush hog ready, if you will, is probably the term that I'm gonna use. So, I wouldn't mind seeing something coming back to us to say, let's get it ready so that we can maintain it with just bush hog. And then, if we ever needed to, because we were getting awfully close to full capacity, over at Uplands, then, let's challenge let's put our heads together and find a way to turn it into maybe a 3-month project that could get us there. So I wouldn't mind seeing if you can flesh out that 200K estimate, I guess, if you will, just to see if there's something there, and if we can get a number to that we can have as a conversation point to get that done this year.
Yeah, I mean, I could sort of throw that back at you and say, what are you comfortable with spending this year, and let me work with that, and then see what we can get done for that too.
Personally, 200K is great, but maybe it's not, maybe it's 250, who knows?
So that's what else.
Yeah,
I
I'm,
have an idea where people want to invest in it. It certainly helps me in going out to see what's the biggest bang for the buck to put that much money into the. You're talking about millions of dollars of employee development. Do we really want to do all that? No. We want another company hopefully to come in and do it unless the business is there for us to do it. I was more, and I'm repeating myself now, as having a backup. When we did all this and purchased the building, remember, we were full. So things have changed now, as we pointed out. It's quite clear. We have lots of land available. We've had big, huge projects happening this year. We can certainly delay this somewhat and give us.
and I like that. I'm myself, that this is almost like a want, not a need.
Yeah.
We're empty, we're not full. I'd be the first to admit, come back when you tell us it's full and you need more land. That's the way I look at it, because we got so much available. We do have a clear cut, best thing maybe did to get that clear cut. Personally, I couldn't support this year at 750,000 myself, that's just me. Anybody else want to comment before we move on?
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
we are gonna be asked though, at the end of this. To approve three things. One's the operational, one's the capital, and one's the 5-year plan.
Right.
So. I'm not sure. How everyone's feeling on that 750, but I mean, I'm quite happy with seeing it removed. At this.
But I think what we can do to accommodate once you have your discussion and your final number, 0 or whatever it is, you can then just in the action item. When you come to that process, we just subtract it out of the total and right, we can still get the rest of the projects approved this way without having to, right, we just do some quick math. It has to go to council anyway, so it'll be a different action item with council. And we can correct all those,
Yeah,
or
just hash it out.
correct them and then amend all those mathematical numbers that have to be changed.
Yeah, hash it out.
Yeah.
And remember number 6, pass rest.
Well, there's still more to go.
Yeah.
But
Is that
the
what-
first one that I've heard that I want taken out is,
Yeah.
or that I would vote yes for if it was still in, would be number 6.
So you want us to just amend the 750?
Well, there was
Add
some
the
that said
total.
maybe we do a little bit of it this year. There's a couple that are saying
Yeah.
0. So
Okay.
it's up to the committee here to
Yeah.
make a decision on 0 or 200 or whatever it is. And then we go through the rest of the project,
Okay.
the rest of the presentation.
We'll leave it.
Do all our math at the end of it when we get to the action. That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay. Should we have a vote on this right now, though? Of where we want to go with number 6?
Well, I'm assuming that's why you went through it line by line.
Yes. So,
Okay, so I mean, I'm okay if we don't do anything with it, but then we have to make sure we put something in our operational budget. To make sure, we don't want to have to come back to this 3 years down the road, for instance, and say, great, now we have to clear cut it again, which we just did last year. So I'm worried that if we don't do something there, then that it's gonna get out of hand again, or we'll have to spend more money than is necessary to take care of that point. But if we want to go to 0, I can go with 0, but I just want to make sure that we don't have a big problem kind of.
okay. I want to get the consent around the 5 of us. Joe? Are you willing to leave the 750,000 on number 6, the Port of Johnstown Warehouse Land Development. Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
You yes?
Yes,
Okay. Lottie?
No.
Chris?
Like I said, I don't need the 750, if there's no compromise, then no, that's fine too.
No?
Yeah, I'm a no unless, you know, when we can, if something magic happens in the year and we need to develop that land quickly, I'm all for it, but as of right now, I'm fine with taking for it.
As of now. Okay. I'm a no, so it's 4 no's, 1 yes, so let's remove number 6 from the budget. Number 7?
So, for a new, covered storage building on the dock, and this is to take advantage of, some potential business coming in. I know we walked a couple programs and we had another storage, one cement, that's the what I've been talking about. So there's been several inquiries over the last year, and they're all need, some kind of covered storage at the dock. See program. So proposal putting up a, 120 by 200 foot building to satisfy that need. For the 1.25 million, there has to be a business plan and this whole business plan can be back.
Discussion? Any questions? I'm not gonna go around, I'm just gonna ask any questions. Frank, any questions?
No questions, just I'd remind people, I'm an old timer. This is exactly where Canada Steamships Alliance had its freight packaging warehouse back in the 60s. So I look at this as a business opportunity for us. We have no covered storage whatsoever. So I'm in favor of it from that perspective.
Joe?
no, Frank got me almost word for word what I was gonna say, so. I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Mr. Smell.
Just a question is, this covered storage building, is it gonna have like the 4-foot concrete wall and then the big tent?
Something like that. I don't have the final specs. There is an actual company that's involved. So there will be some discussions coming up potentially at our next meeting in camera. So there's some real, I believe, some real concrete business to this.
I like I like that concrete.
Yeah, concrete moment.
Yeah.
I just have a question. So I just want to be assured, and again, 1.2 million for covered areas, it seems like a lot again to me without, you know, without the business plan behind it to back up the need for it. So I'll be voting no on this one as well. But I would need a surety that it's not our solution to a salt issue.
No, it's not.
Because if it is, then it's definitely.
And remember, it's bookmark here to proceed with the company that's interested in zoning. That's what I'm asking for tonight. The business plan has to come, there has more information that has to come on the return on investment for us in the business plan. And that's why I'm asking you to vote in favor. If you're saying no, it means it stops the progress of moving forward with the potential business that could come to the fore. I mean, we've had several meetings already, I've kind of mentioned two of the previous meetings. So there, you know, we'll be coming forward to the group again, even if you approve it.
Why would we come tonight and make a presentation of whoever's involved?
Because I need to find out the interest in, from you, get a, you know, feel of the interest in this committee on if it's something they're interested in, right?
And I don't feel warm and fuzzy of giving you 1.25 million. We have nothing to back up.
You're not doing that to me. I mean, what you're saying is, okay, you don't have any covered storage right now on the port. There is a constraint. There's a potential business that's coming to the port and we utilize this building. And I need to have a little bit more time to put that together, capital budgets tonight. So I'm going to bring that forward and have more concrete details on that. Right? And if I don't, then there will not be an action and we're back for it. So, yes,
Okay, so what would happen then if you didn't have that lead net? Right? And somebody came to you in May with the exact same proposal, you wouldn't bring it to us?
absolutely.
Okay, so why do we need to approve it in tonight?
We don't have to. I mean, it's, I'm trying to get, if I have that approval to go forward, then I know I have that money available, and then when I'm talking to the person, it's okay, you could build it, or do they build it? That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm wondering if we do it or they do it. And I prefer to build it ourselves, because then we get the story about it, where the potential customer would potentially might build it themselves, but then we just lease the land. Which I'm not, I'd rather have control of the building.
And so we will see an item further down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there needs to come back, so it needs to, because it's over 100,000, it's a lot of money. You just. I'm trying to explain this, that we're bookmarking things so that we're gonna put some time and energy into it and try and bring it to fruition. And for me, I just need to know. Is that money, well, you guys see a business plan, are you interested in putting covered storage or putting covered storage up on our thought? That's where I'm at.
But you're not giving us any indication of what we have. Like if you,
As I can in an open session.
if someone came here tonight and said, hey, we want to build this size on your property or whatever, and we, here's a letter of intent, that's a different story. I don't have an issue, you know, and what the, like the 300,000. You told us we're gonna be making 15,000 a month. Okay, there's money behind that, right? You want us to give you 1.2 million. And we don't have a clue what's going in there.
Well.
Or if anything.
It's what we talked about before with fertilizer and bringing fertilizer to the port. And there's and I mentioned at the last meeting that we've had 2 meetings with people from Europe on interest in having building covered storage at the port for the fertilizer. And so that needs to be worked out as far as the agreement goes. And that's where it's at right now, and so.
But we have no.
What I'm planning on doing is bringing that forward in April. And having that as a plan at that point, because it's not, it has to come back anyways.
So we don't have to approve this 1.2 million tonight.
And council could approve it, or you can say no, and then it just has to go to council. That's all.
Yeah.
So it's starting to sort of a process.
So it's the same with this 750, we can remove it and this 1.2, we can remove it tonight. And bring it back in April. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, but and I see what the port manager was saying is, you could also leave it just the same, but it's still not gonna spend the 1.25 and the 750K. It just gives, you know, the port's project team, if you will, a feeling that they can go ahead and start chasing these businesses, because if they come back to us with a firm ROI plan that says we can achieve this, then we're able to start having a conversation at that point. They just want to put a placeholder in there to say that's what we're doing. And I get, you know, I mean, my first questions I had here, I even said, I think we sound like a broken record by this time, but what's the ROI on it? I mean, I wrote that down in my own notes. So I think we're all kind of on the ROI aspect, because when we look at it from this perspective, you know, you're asking for this money now, but we're really not asking for this money. You're predicting what it could cost, and you're gonna come back to us later with our ROI plan.
That's from 2024. Right, further down the road, I put it in 2025 or 29 at the end of this report. So I think I would not have put it in here, I didn't think it could happen this year.
But that's not what it says, that's all. Like it says, then a further, give us a 1.25 million to build the covered storage, 120 by 200 feet. Then the further business plan will be need to develop and present to the committee.
Yeah.
I'd rather have, oh, what do we have now? What is it? Like, do we have a letter of intent? Do we have these people that's gonna move in and whatever? That's all. I want a business plan before that, so that's my feelings on that. Frank, did you want it? So,
I'd like to get in just in the sense of, somehow I think this is getting off the rails. That this is a budget, it's a conceptual idea of what we'd like to do. But nothing gets done if it's over $75,000 unless it comes back to the committee with a business plan, an ROI, a payback period, whatever it may be. I've heard the word approve any number of times during the discussion. We're not approving anything for the management team in terms of spending money at this point in time. We're just giving them a sense of direction, as I think Chris said at a point in time, that conceptually, this makes sense. However, it's got to make sense financially before we'd ever give you the authorization to proceed. So I just be careful you're not getting off the rails in terms of evaluating this on the basis of we're approving it. We're not approving it. We're approving a budget. The individual projects actually need to be approved subsequently.
Yeah, well, Frank, like it says on page 18 and 58, that the Port Management Committee recommends council approves the Port of Johnstown 2024 capital budget. I mean, that, it's right here as presented. And I don't think we should be approving if we don't have a visit plan on some of these things. I'm well aware of what you're saying, and I'm 100% with you. But I don't wanna, at 1.25, if we came with a letter of intent like we did on number 5, I feel a lot better than just approving the 1.25 tonight and say, okay, go ahead. I realize it's gotta come back to council, but that should have been with us tonight. I don't think it's fair for us to make a decision of 1.25 million without any information, who's going in or whatever. I don't care who is, as long as they're there for long term and we have something that we're making a profit. That's all.
I think, Steve, you looked at it in the context of what you're approving tonight is an allocation, but not an expenditure. And if you looked at it and said, I don't approve the expenditure until it comes back with a business plan, you might feel more comfortable.
Yeah, because right now I don't feel comfortable. You're right. I do not myself, and I'm only one vote, but I do not feel comfortable without at least knowing what's going in there and a letter of intent or whatever, like we have on number 5. I feel very comfortable now after they said $15,000 a month. We didn't even have that in front of us. That's nice to hear. So it does make me feel warm and fuzzy. This here does not make me feel warm and fuzzy right now. Because I get worried that, yes, it goes up, then this deal falls through, then what do we do? With the building?
So how come this gentleman doesn't come through with the loading and container this time? Letter of intent is not a meeting document. I've got just a strong letter of intent. It's not a letter of intent. It's conversation with business.
Right, there's been a no neighbor on that.
Well, that's right, saying it's an allocation. I'm not asking for money tonight.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just what everybody was saying, it's the capital budget process where engineers, the management committee comes and presents their 2024 priorities for capital. And you, the committee reviews it, maybe says, make some changes, like, listen, there's no sense even coming back to us with the land clearing. We're not interested in that, so don't waste your time. But these things that Robert and his team has presented are of interest. And yes, we've approved, I use that term, approve these projects for you to go ahead and start doing some legwork on. To come back to us on an individual basis like they have been and say, here's the business plan for the loading, soybean load. Here's the business case for whatever that ends up being. At that point in time, that's when you approve money to the board, anything over 75,000. That's the way I see it. That's what I thought we could do. Not given the money tonight, I didn't think we were doing that. I thought you guys were looking at them and saying, yeah, that's got some validity in it. Or we're not interested in building a moonshot rocket base, but we are interested in putting in soybean. So yes, have that in the capital. That's all. I think we can skip a little bit. Maybe.
And maybe you're right. I mean, I'm into this with any new business. but I do want a business plan, so if that's the case. Then bring whoever, get whatever information.
Business plan is right on it, you're going to get a business plan.
Yeah, it says if you're the business, plan will need to be developed, so I'm all in for that. And to leave this up on. To continue on number 7.
You saw Sean.
Sir,
You saw, I have another question to you, Sasha, on that, isn't it?
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, my question, I hate to change gears on it, because I think Sean's gonna bring it away,
Okay.
but, why there, by the way, I just couldn't figure out for the life of me why that place right there made the most sense for us.
Proximity to the ship when it almost the fertilizer.
So we would park the ship on that side
And
and
then proximity to the rail, it's gonna go the ship, the fertilizer building, then it by rail.
maybe I was,
So we get the mortgage on the ship. We get the storage, and we get the mortgage on the rail.
okay, so we would dock the ship on the,
If we want them to build the building, which we're certainly willing to do, then all we get is the lease of the property.
no, I was really talking about the space.
So, and then we go up and join the building. And this is all gonna be more detailed in a business plan, so that you see the mortgage amounts, what the minimum stuff that are guaranteeing in order to build the building. When we did the deal for the calcium chloride tank, and we entered into the agreement, they had that minimums, and if they don't hit the minimums, we're still getting the revenue. And all those things are considered with this project.
Yes,
So
so that's why.
I'm talking lawyers, legal, leases, building a building, going tenders, all that's a lot of work. So I'm asking for all allocation of those funds that I know that you're comfortable with that, and you're comfortable with us pursuing it, and that's what I'm asking for. We have to come back to the business.
So, and that's fair, not the question I was asking, I just was trying to figure out why that side made the most sense as far as putting the building at that exact site you're talking about. And that's because you're saying we would actually dock a ship on the northernmost side of that bay and be able to.
Chris.
Okay, let's stay around, okay, that's fine,
Approximately.
that's fine, I just couldn't figure out why there, that's all, so that's all I had from the other side, the non-financial side of that.
We have to look at the grade of the pavement there to see if it makes sense, because when you stop the bags, fertilizer, you can see what's the grade of it all. Is it over like 70 to the base? Do the top around or survey of property, just to make sure we got a grade, not a vintage exactly.
Sure, okay,
So it's just gonna give you a lot of view of where we approximately.
okay.
Go ahead. I just one question. The 1.25 is for a building, is it not?
Yes.
Did you get prices on that? Like, it's same factor.
Well, the first one I was discussion with, thinks it would be $1 million. I have significantly on that, because we're not private, we just can't go out and do it ourselves, we try to go through a few more processes, and sometimes you don't get a good deal with that. As a local person, they'll grab people that you know, and sometimes they can do it cheaper than a public entity, so to speak, we're not to go through tender process.
I mean, I've been all through this country around here. I see all kinds of them. I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna buy horses, because I mean, going up to Freeport, there's the guy farming, and 3 of them said that.
And it's keep in mind, we have a tender, or something like that, so you make it come back at 850, we'll come back at 550.
What about lands and usements down at, I was on the Lawrenceburg. There's 304 of them in there. Like, they're bigger than 120. Yeah. So did you see them or?
No.
Like it's an empty building right now. Usually.
I have the word exactly what they need for building, it's on the spectrum of this, can't have any water, it's in underneath, not.
Yeah. I mentioned, well, wait.
Are you back?
No. Yeah, that's good.
Well, no, the only suggestion I was going to make is, similar to when we presented ours and kind of got muddied and kind of stuck in the mud. It really came down to, should this be in the budget or as far as in or divert, not out as far as, I mean, any business that's good for the port should be gone after by the board. It's just for this discussion and to get things passed, like, I don't think you need a budget passed to carry on those growth needs. Because when you have a plan, you still have to come back to council to go through those approval processes anyway. So for the purpose of the discussion, it's probably best to say, is this, because the reality too is we're at the end of March. We're almost at the end of Q1 already. So we have 3/4 left of the year. What can realistically be done? And if this is 2025, then let's defer until this is.
2024 to be quite clear. So that's the whole first up is both right and
Then I would probably say that then if it's got to be approved with the business plan anyways, then I would say that this is probably not the time to go into a deep discussion on that until there's an actual business plan. The other one was a little bit different, but whether this gets approved or not, it shouldn't stop the court from continuing on the process.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it changes, it's a lot different than what we do with the way we do it at the township, ultimately. Right, because what we're seeing is more, you know, I don't want to say are you interested, because we're always interested in any new business that could come, and of course we would support it. It's just, is there, like, the way I look at this list is now I'm looking at it different than I did, you know, last couple of weeks. Is there anything that I would just take off, right? Versus, is there anything that I'm just not interested in? Because you know, 100% when we do your review, I'm 100% in favor of any business that you can bring forward, right? Like if it comes with a business case, it's an easy answer. Of course it's yes, right? So, you know, now I'm looking at it different. Is there anything that I would take off? Well, I think, you know, I can safely say the only thing I would take off is the continuation of the work across the road. And the rest of it, I'd love to see you spend your time on. I don't want you wasting any of your valuable time on something that I don't see us developing this year. All of these I see us getting done this year. So to me, like, it's an easy conversation when we make it that way. Like, if everything's coming back, if you come back with whoever this is, you know, for that covered area with a solid business case for this year or for next year, that somebody's definitely going to be using it, it's a no-brainer. But we have that discussion then.
Yes.
This is just sort of saying, hey, do you want us to not waste our time? Do you want us to spend time working on this project moving forward? Yeah, I don't want you wasting your time on projects we're not gonna do. Yeah, that, thank you, Randy, it makes a lot of sense when you put it that way, to me. So when it comes to the rest of this, like, for me, as long as the 750's off at this point, other than that, I'd love to see you spend your time on this project. I think it's fantastic, if we can move it.
So should we move on to number 8 then? Thank you.
Yep. Number 7, straightforward, that's last year's, right?
We're on the carryover projects.
It's last year's.
Yes.
These are what do you think?
One second, Karen, if I can, hold on.
Well, sure. Right.
Well, I mean, with what we just said, if you look through, just ask everybody if there's anything that they absolutely don't see worthwhile doing. I mean, if that's the way we're gonna do this, if everything over 75,000 is coming back, we don't need to beat this up. This is crazy.
Number 12, we already approved it.
It's crazy.
Okay, so is there anything with the 5 of us that you want on the table from the Canadian side? Is there anything that you guys want to pull in now?
No, that doesn't make sense.
And that'll save us from going line by line now, sure. So is there anything that from 11 on, we already approved number 12, it's approved. So is anything else you people see that you don't want anything discussed?
Not that I don't want to see not discussed when it comes back to us. The only thing that I see is on number 10, the track shed repairs and modifications. I wouldn't mind seeing that broken out into maybe it's 3 independent parts, because I think the repair floor in the receiving area is probably one we're not gonna be able to do an ROI on, for instance. But it would be nice to see, you know, what maybe potentially there for each of 2 and 3 respectively, in case we ever say, you know what, maybe we can do 3 this year because it makes more sense, or that, you know, I don't know if it's separatable, but I wouldn't mind seeing that sort of, you know, in the granularity of each of those subcomponents of it, that's all. And otherwise, I didn't have anything else.
But going back again, if they
Yep.
decide to move, all we're doing is approving the 2.3 in theory. So that it doesn't have to go back to council, it just comes back to, and as long as they can do part 1, 2, or 3 of it within inside that 2.3 million. Then this committee can approve it, so, you know, you just laying the groundwork to let them do their jobs, and then they're gonna bring us back the item in a bigger scale, so.
I agree. It was just a comment, right? So.
Yes, and just a reminder, everybody, item 10, we actually sent it to tender last fall and didn't get any bids. We've some back to drawing what we've broken up into pieces. We got some engineering, detail engineering done on the foundation, so I'm going to tender in April, and see what we get back. So breaking it down, the scope is too large, there's too much risk for some of the companies involved, and there was 2 people that were. I indicated they were very much wanting to work, and then we did submit theirs, so we kind of got caught, so we rather go back to the bottom of what we told, but yeah, there is a business plan on the board. Depending
On this?
if we get some action on, the foundation. The foundation, we're going to have a shot at completing.
We didn't have anything last year on the foundation? Was that the holdup though? Was the foundation on 2 and 3?
Part of it was, we two of the companies said, look, we didn't do it, we do our own detail engineering, we don't want it. So we didn't, at the time, spend the money on the engineering, and we said, we would do our own. And then those 2 companies defined the bid. So we kind of got caught.
Yep. Good. So is there anything, people?
No, I mean, you know, to the mayor's point, based on this, leaving, you know, waiting to see if there's a business plan for number 6 even, leave it, take it, I don't care, I'm okay with the rest of it anyways, so. And then that one there, I can go either way, whatever, the will of council is on number 6, if you want to leave it or keep it or take it out. Again, it's not the spending of money, it's the looking into, you know, so I'm okay to leave it for the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm 100%, you know, I just wanna say, you know, there's obvious that there's work that's gone into this. There's, you know, looking through even the minor ones that are below 75, there's potential for some of them to go above 75. Right, I mean, there's, well, if they do, you know, you come back for it, right, and if they aren't under 75, or if they are under 75, we really don't see them again, but I went through this list, like, you know, painstakingly, and there's nothing in there other than the first, you know, those first 7 or 8 or 9, whatever it was, that were, you know, ones that I felt we needed to talk about, but the other ones, like, to me, I'm totally fine. I've already said this, I think out loud. I think we're wasting a lot of time going through item by item on a lot of these. These are things that need to be done. They need to be done and move on. The bigger ones, like the pavement and the concrete, you're gonna come to us with the information that we need to make those decisions.
The tender process and.
This is where we want you spending the time.
Yeah.
And I don't want you wasting any time on 6.
Now, the minor capital, thank you, the minor capital projects, so you don't need to go line by line on that.
No.
Is there anything in there that you have any questions on?
No, that's why I asked. Go ahead.
So we'll move on to the,
Hold it, go ahead, Mr. Starr.
Sorry, I just have one question on number 25, replacing the existing drain post. I never looked at it today, and it's just the arm that comes down the vehicles that you want to replace.
It's the whole year, the more I ever was 1 year old.
While I was looking at it, I was thinking, if you're replacing the whole unit, why would you not get an enclosed section where the man's got to run it? Doesn't have to stand out in the cold weather all the time.
That's a great idea, that's on the schedule for next year. Great, Joey. Let's cover the area over that road.
I would just stand there looking at the whole thing, I'm thinking, I want to spend all kinds of money on that, why don't they just close it in for the poor guy that's got to work there?
First, like, it's got actually very plain, it goes to 25, so actually gotta go 150 times a day. So
We're not gonna put an escalator in, so nothing to that.
So that, I mean, that brings us to the really good point now, and that brings us to the future, which I don't believe that you want me to go into that at this point. These are just projects that we sort of put in there, 25 to 29, to give you an idea of things that are potentially going to bring forward potential costs, to give you an appreciation of how much money it takes to, you know, to make sure we invest in growth and we invest in the maintaining the sustainability of the port elevator itself. And as you know, looking at the exterior painting, and all that's very expensive. It's a 4-mile long building, everything costs fortune, everything millions of dollars. And so that's basically what that is. And in the action item tonight, we're not asking for approval, to be clear, of the 25, 29 forecast, it's to be received. And so getting back to our action item, we're asking for just to pick that 750,000 off. If you go back to the action item in the package, we're asking for 2.6 million in major capital. That's the 3,350,000 minus the 2.6 million. Minus the 750, which gives us 2.6 million. And so 750,000 on the total. Anybody do the math yet? 10,102,99. So these are the adjustments we're making to the action item. We're changing the major capital to 2,600,000 from 3,350,000, and that will change the total capital budget from $10,852,990 to $10,102,990. So that's what we're looking for a recommendation for tonight.
Okay, so bottom line, what's the price, 10 million?
$10,102,990.
10,102,90?
990.
Oh, 900, okay. Mr. Mayor had a question on the capital for the 5-year forecast.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, looking at it and it's, you know, it's considerable, right? It's a lot of money. And the way that we're doing this is, you know, we have investments and we have cash on hand. And when I look at a project like, you know, the repair of the port, that number has been from 30 million, now it's down to 8 million. It's been a number that's moved around a lot.
Yes, it has. Can I explain why?
Well, can I ask the question
Okay,
first?
sure.
Yeah, you can absolutely, but my question probably isn't the same as what you're gonna give an answer to. My question is we have $9 million in an operating account that we use to fund the projects, and we have the investments that we you know, use the interest and those investments to fund these projects as well. Has there ever been thought to creating like actual reserve accounts that are directed towards individual items?
There's been some thoughts on that. There's been some discussions with the treasurer on that. We're gonna get together and look at how the township sort of does here. And some of the things we're looking at, I was looking at, was annual things that we put money into every year, like paving and different things like that, that we just say, okay, let's put money out of our amount here is going to be put into that and sort of put over towards that. That's not something I've used in the past, but I know it's familiar with the township. And if it's familiar with everyone here, it's so much easier if we were similar to that, right? And everybody can understand what we're really talking about.
That's it. Yeah, like we
There
do
is thought into that.
I mean, at township, it's great. At United Counties, it's, you know, a lot bigger, right? It's, you know, $100+ million in budgeting and stuff, and every one of them, right, it comes out of a different reserve line item for each, you know, whether it's public works, whether it's, you know, whatever one it is, and it certainly makes you feel more comfortable when you know you're building that reserve, and then the 5-year mark comes and you say, all right, we got $5 million in the dock reserve, we can get, you know, that project's, you know, we've got the money to cover that now, we don't have to worry. You know, this shows us we have the money to cover it, yes, right? My concern is that you don't want to mess with that, you want to make sure those are. I would love to do
I
that.
understand that, and this is a very high level, just to say, hey, we're not gonna go bankrupt here, we can do all these things. You know, okay, you still got money in the bank, and that's very high, I mean, totally understand that, and it's. I will be speaking with Sean or something like that, or something like that. I'd love this.
We should have a discussion about it for sure. I don't think this is the night to have that discussion.
No,
It's just like, I don't wanna pick holes to say, too bad we can't do this because it's all tied up in the reserve, that we have to have a meeting to move it from one reserve to another. I don't know, anyways, we'll have that discussion. I'm not seeing a benefit.
I don't think worst case, we had too many categories. To be honest with you, like I'd be careful, to your point, how many reserves you have. And there's always certain things that really you have to manage, you need to make sure you, it's like your roads, right? You want to put money towards that, you know, if you don't, you're gonna get stuck, and you saw the data, it's going to be something that, you know, the trucks we do, it's like on major highway. 150 trucks a day for 90 days, it's a lot of weight, so it's just an example, right? So all to say that there'll be more discussion on it on another day.
Yeah, and it is important that,
Yes.
as you understand. So
Yes.
we're good.
So that's really what I did this, it's a little different than what I presented to this group last capital budget, in that I used to have the 10-year forecast as the first column. Here's what we're gonna spend in 2024. Here's what we're gonna spend in the next 5 years, and then that's what's left potentially. I took that all out. Now it's just 2024 you're looking at, and then we separated it 25 to 29, you did a 5-year forecast, right? And that way it's all separated, so you're only approving, you know, the 24 for tonight, the allocation of the 24 funds. 2024 funds.
Okay, people, we do have a recommendation. The Port of Management Committee recommends council approve the Port of Johnstown 2024 operation revenue and expense budget is in it.
It would be as amended.
Not the operations.
Oh, the operation, sorry.
And the Port Management Committee recommends council approve the Port of Johnstown 2024 capital budget as amended. So taking $750,000 out of number 6. Is that right?
Yes.
Sure. Is it number 6? At number 6, and the total capital is $10,115,990.
Correct.
And then Port Management Committee receipts 2025, 2029, future capital 5-year forecast. I need a mover and need a second. Moved by Mr. Ward, seconded by Mr. Mayor, all in favor? Questions?
So, to the Port GM, I unfortunately had to leave during the last one where we were talking about the operations part of it, and I think we're up over 6 million in expenses for that, and I understand, where a lot of that is coming from, right, in that. And I really respect the work that's been done, in this past month, where there's a 61K reduction in the labor costs. I like that, moving forward. My concern is that it's at 6.1 now. And I'm wondering, I had my other iPad, I had my questions on it from last meeting. I don't want to belabor it. I know that generally speaking, we're quite fine with that operational budget. But I'm just wondering, are there ways to get, obviously we've moved in February to reduce that number. It's been reduced by 61K already. Are there further ways that we'll see going forward during the year that might see some operational savings from that?
I would answer that with labor definitely, depending on the harvest and so on, and then the labor process, but at the same point, we do need additional labor for management and so on that I pointed out. And we do need to run this succession planning. It will be an hour before the next meeting, but we have to do that very quickly. I think that's something that's very important for it. Other areas, a lot of these are fixed. We take less of it. He said, save us money. So there's some fixed costs here.
You cut the laugh.
I mean, remember the website services, we're putting things in the website services, and every year we come a little bit under it and try to be a little tighter with the website services this year. But there's always, you know, we're always trying to control under, and we have every year. Try not to, you know, spend everything that's there, but we put enough money there that if we need to, we can use it. It sort of handcuffs us if we don't. We're always working hard and trying to do our expenses, I think, look at that. Very hard.
Yeah, and I, you know, I highly respect that. I know the contract plays a big part in it. I know the increase in the bill, you know, certainly plays a role in that as well, and I respect that highly, but. Yeah, and I think it's fantastic that the revenue, and I know it's been said, you know, we have to spend to make, right? And I get that, the revenue line is still going up as.
It's windy.
Okay, what the heck? Should we go for cover? I respect though, that, you know, and then I look at the bottom line as well, right? And I see those numbers. My worry though is that, you know, over the last 5 years, there has been a steady escalation in that expense line. I know it's equaled and we had record, you know, revenue as well and record profit as well. And I get that. I'm just, you know, trying to make it even better. If I know you guys do fantastic balance.
Everything is costing more, everyone's lower here, and it's costing us more. So this is costing more, neighborhood just went through a huge grills in our regions, so everything keeps going up for. We save what we save, but the whole world's experiencing this right now, not just us. All these are going to for chunks, so also some people will turn around and some of these costs will start dropping for utilities and so on. It's not an easy way to something, I guess, rather than we'll be frugal, we'll keep an eye on our costs, and do our best. We always like it.
Will we see a big impact in something like, you know, the drying portion for carbon tax? I mean, we keep lobbying every opportunity we get to have that removed from farm, like from agriculture, especially from, you know, grain drying, but. I know it's not been shown that it's built in there anywhere, but will we anticipate seeing that'll be a pretty big.
Well,
especially in the winter.
I mean, we still need to look at this. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do with the carbon tax and how to pass that on to city.
Okay.
So are you saying it's removed? There certainly would be savings for us. And we, sorry,
I think the legislation is all out right now.
Yeah. Tomorrow, right? It's really.
I thought it would be really agriculture, but it's hasn't happened.
It comes April 1st, right?
It's not like, yeah, it's really nice. They're making so much money from it. We were bought. Right, it's somewhat.
Mark, I just wonder if we had a number that we knew. Like a potential number of that when we lobby, because we do lobby for that, you know, that number. If we knew what the impact directly to us was as a cost. We don't, but if maybe we could figure that out, so we know. Because that, as we push towards that, especially for agriculture and, you know, for this. Specifically to show exactly what that cost is, that goes a long way, I think, towards further in that lobby when we do it, but.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll certainly look at that.
Anything else? All in favor of the recommendation? Carried. I also have to have, sorry, Joe, yes or no?
Yes,
I also have to get A, B, C, and D, and E. I'm moving to secondary. Grain operation, maintenance report, financial report, health and safety report, the GM report. Moved by Mr. Mayor and seconded by Mr. Smell. Any discussions, questions on it? All in favor? Joe?
yes,
Carried. I need the number 9, we're on to approval of disbursements. Court accounts, need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Mr. Report, seconded by Mr. Martell. Approval of the disbursements.
I have no question.
Any questions on?
I didn't see any, difficult to look at them.
Joe, you see any?
No.
Mr. Snell? All the question, all in favor?
yes,
Thank you. Council inquiries and notice of motion. Chair's report is none. Thanks very much, people for the budget tonight and the input, all appreciate from the staff. And number 12, question period. Miss, you're in the gallery. Do you have any questions on this agenda? Thank you very much. And may I have someone to adjourn? Moved by the mayor and seconded by Mr. Ward, we adjourn at. It's time.
Hey, Joe,
9:32. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Frank.
Bye, talk everybody. Bye.
Bye.